I'm going to put you on the spot for a minute, Dad. I've never done that before, have I? Ever.
Lucky you. Go ahead.
How have you and Mom done that with John?
Done what with John?
Worked through despair.
Yeah.
Because there have been times where I have called
Oh, yeah.
and said, I have more bad news.
Yeah. Mm. Well, when you get word that one of your own, in our case, a grandson, has a condition that isn't going to change. There will be alterations from time to time, but
Or
you
is
know,
getting worse.
and Tobin knows, and your family knows, and therefore we know, what we are hearing is not some quick diagnosis.
Right.
It's been carefully analyzed, and therefore we need to live with it.
That can be uncomfortable at times.
Very
can't
much
it?
so.
Yep.
We decide that we're going to accept him as he is. We're not going to try to...
Quirks and all.
Yeah, and that's a great thing when you do that. When I'm with him, I don't feel embarrassed. Like don't. I will sometimes say to someone, alone while he's not there, he's autistic, or he's a special needs child. That's why he,
Sniffed your coat so close.
I started saying in the store the other day, he smelled, a person, and Jonathan, you've got to give them their space. But anyway. I also have to say, it may not sound very spiritual at all, which I like answers that aren't sounding spiritual. We've not lost our sense of humor.
Right.
Which I think is important. Jonathan sometimes doesn't laugh when the rest of us laugh.
Right.
Sometimes he laughs when no one else is laughing.
Right.
And that's okay. I've learned to accept him like that. Was there a burst of grief? Yeah, there was. Mm-hmm. We grieved for you, and we felt for your family. Being around his brother helps, because Austin is just great.
They're hilarious.
He's hilarious, and Austin a little older than Jonathan, and yet he loves him.
Yeah.
Like I can't put into words. Austin getting ready to go to the University of Oklahoma. Mm. He'll be miles away. And I know that you probably haven't said much about that to Jonathan, because he really loves Austin.
We actually have.
Have you talked about it?
Well, we know we have to prepare.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
And we know
and that's a good word for us. We prepare when we're going to be with him. Right. But this is how he is.
Yeah.
And some people are uneasy with that. Because here again, we want folks carefully contained and appropriate and all of that. Jonathan, I appreciate the fact that I'm up front greeting people. Jonathan wants to walk right up and say hi to his granddad. Yeah. And I'm in the middle
putting
of
it mildly.
maybe a conversation following a sermon. And it's not appropriate. So I will sometimes just put my arm around Jonathan, finish talking to these folks so he will know I know you're there. Right. Sometimes I want to go,
a lot of times.
Don't say anything right now.
Duct tape comes in a lot of colors.
But before long, I'll have a moment. And I've learned to adapt to that. And you've helped. Because you're sensitive to the fact that I can't always suddenly drop everything.
Right.
So you work it through. There isn't a formula. Right. I think it's a bit of a jolt when we realize he will always be like this. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I would love to think when I wake up some morning, I get a phone call and Jonathan says, I'm right up there with the rest of you. Right. And so he won't. And the things, I learned this from Johnny Erickson, where so many people tell Johnny, I'm praying you'll be healed. And Johnny will often say, I appreciate your prayers. Don't pray for the head. Because the Lord's taken me through this enough to know I'm not going to walk again. Please. And there are folks that hold out this hope and claim all kind of verses out of context.
Right.
And they'll try to wrench from her this answer that says, I know I'm going to be. No.
Yeah.
I'm a quadriplegic, and I'm learning how to live with that
Yeah.
and how to make the best of that. And I'm going on with my life. I've learned to accept Jonathan as autistic.
Yeah.
There's no lack of faith in that.
Right. I think that's as I talked about Peyton, when we chased that diagnosis for
Exactly.
2 years, after that second
Yeah.
year, what I explained, there was this sense where it's acceptance.
This is
And
where
you
we
said
are.
that, and
Yeah.
it was, again, just a remarkable journey for those 3 years. And
There is.
and
You
yeah,
free yourself.
absolutely. And again, make no mistake about it. As you said, Chuck, I would love to have Peyton dancing and running,
Of course.
and doing that,
And she will.
And
When you're with her in
absolutely,
glory.
Absolutely.
But you know what? There's a saying that is worth repeating. In acceptance lieth peace.
Amen.
No
Yeah.
kidding. No kidding.
When you accept this,
Yeah.
you have peace when you're with Jonathan. You're not
Yeah.
embarrassed about him or for him. You have accepted this.
Yeah.
And he comes made by God. Just as much as Steve
Uh-huh.
and Colleen and Chuck have been made by God. He's not an exception.